Well, you gotta love Virginia. It was 45 the other morning. Then it was like 75 earlier today. And now it's 40 again. So I'm out here on that 5500, or I'm sorry, f550, doing the top end. Had to break up the old Carhartts again, but still not cold enough that I had to close the garage door. So as you can see, it's getting late, but so able to get the whole intake in, get that turbo in, and so you might be able to see it there. That's one of them bolts that I was telling you about that's really hard. And then actually you might, if I put the light on it just right. So that's the EGR cooler down there. And then let's see if I can get a good picture of it. I think you can see the backside bolt that you need to get to, and then there's that other turbo bolt right there. So you can see she's coming together. Injectors are all plugged in, valve covers are all on. So slowly but surely. So I did run into one other issue I ended up having to go back to Ford for. So on these 6 liters, something you gotta check for is, try and prop the light up here. But on these oil stalks, this is your bypass button. So make sure that it's actually engaged. The one that I had on here before that I was about to install, and I'm glad I caught it, the keeper was gone, so this was just floating in here. I think I can grab it. I think it's in the back. But yeah, so I mean, it's not super expensive to replace this, and it comes with the little keeper bolt right down there. Yeah, there you go. The one right down below there, you see where it's holding it, and you just rotate this counterclockwise to take it out, clockwise to put it back in. But other than that, yeah, she's getting there. And yeah, so she's in. Hopefully she'll be running here shortly. I still gotta put oil in it, prime the fuel system, fill the coolant with we'll put the coolant reservoir on. It goes right there. Put the flush stuff in it, and distilled water for when I run it at first, and try and get all the residue of whatever gunk was left in that, and to clean that, get the EGR cooler cleaning solution out of there, and then I'll drain that coolant out and put good, I believe it's ELC coolant for these 6 liters, but don't quote me on that. So one of the other issues that I noticed on these, down underneath the turbo down here, you got 2 separate wiring harnesses. One is your injector wiring harness that I'd show you previously that's separate from the other one. And they actually twist underneath there. And I didn't realize that until I got it all in, and then had to take it all back out and put it all back in again. So just make sure that this injector one that's underneath right here, right? So that's the injector one right there. It goes underneath it here. And then it actually comes back towards the turbo, back down underneath here. The one that you can see right here is the one on top, and then it goes back over here underneath the other wiring harness. So it's not really a full twist, it's just one goes in front of it, one goes behind it, and they have to kind of interweave right there to get to the injector holes. But super easy to put together, super easy to click it in. Just make sure you push on those springs, don't take the C-clips out. So what I was saying, right here, this little clip, if you just push it down, it'll push on or off real easy. So you can just, and don't try and pull these out this way, because if you pop them out, they're just a bitch to get back in. So you just push down on this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well. which you can just push down on that like that. I use just the tip of a pliers to push it in before to take it out. Push it down on it and then release it, and then give it a good wiggle to make sure it doesn't come out. So aside from that, the banjo bolt kit that you can get from Western Diesel comes in here, right there. While you have everything open, it's really easy to get to. And the other one is down underneath that stuff. Yeah, there's that banjo bolt down there. So those are swapped out. They come just in a little package like this. The issue you run into is the stock ones have that filter mechanism in it. And over time, whatever that filter stuff that's in there gets stopped up. Now you can always just take, I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, so you can see there's a little C-clip in there. You take the C-clip out with a fine needle nose pliers and pull the inside out. But the other thing is the banjo bolts that we put in have 4 holes that are cross-drilled instead of just the stock one that has 2. So that'll help. And then also it has the crush washers with an O-ring built into them. So they're copper with the rubber. So I think those are just a way better seal, because you have the rubber, which will expand and contract differently than the copper. Either way, you still have a great seal. Holds up to a ton of pressure. So the other thing is when you're putting your FICM brackets back on, make sure that you're putting the bolt types, because they're almost, unless you marked them when you took them off, they're hard to remember. But it would seem easier to have the bolt ones in the back because of how difficult it is to get to it. And it's got a little plate there. But the bolt ones are actually made for the front, because this here bracket that's on your intake tube is actually what bolts down, similar to this here. And once I get everything lined up, it would go on there. But you can see this is a plate to bolt everything down, and then you have 2 nuts that go on top of that to hold this side down. So, yeah, it's going together. It's about 9 o'clock, so I think I'm going to keep going at it and see if we can't get it fired off. So, anyways, aside from that, you guys are keeping up on the videos. The Bobcat still sits where she sits. I ordered the RAM rebuilds, so I'll get a video of what I'm rebuilding those. They're not really difficult on these. The biggest thing is to make sure and crack them loose. Your gland nut. Make sure and crack your gland nuts loose before you take it off of the equipment, if you're going to completely remove it. They can do it. You can do the frame in. If you have hydraulic pressure and it's running, you can always raise your arms up, up to the cab level, and then you can either use the cab as a brace and put a 6x6 over top of this, so these arms would be up that high, and you're going to put a 6x6 through there. I don't really like that method, because if that 6x6 moves or this cab crumples at all, these arms are just going to fall down on top of you. So what I like to do is I like to raise this up and then strap it off to the rafters, and then take 4x4 on each side from the actual axle housing. I got a pair of them that are notched. Put it up underneath there, and then drop the weight onto the 6x6s. Or 4x6s. And that way it sits down on that. It's got the overhead connection. That way it ain't gonna move either way. If one of them gets loose or something wobbles or moves or whatever, I've got 2 levels of safety on it. I'm not huge on the safety stuff, but when it comes to getting crushed or pinched, especially when I'm out here working on my own, I don't like to risk it. So I hope you guys use the same method. We're also going to be swapping out this tire here, so it's non-tubed. The rims are pretty rusty. The tire is real weather checked. I've got a spare tire and a couple of spare rims, a couple of spare tubes laying around. Right there, actually. So she's gonna get taken apart too, and I'll get you guys a video of that stuff. Aside from that, not a whole lot going on in this. I haven't been working on the 550. pretty regularly to try and get this 100% done. And so I haven't done any real movement on the Bobcat. But once I get this done, then get this back to that gentleman. This is also his four-wheeler. It's got to get finished too. She's had some major issues, fuel system issues, and then there had been a person tinkering with it, bypassed the fuel pump, and the old fuel pump and the fuel valve were just rotted to shit and weren't functioning. So I've got her where she'll run, but it's just not settling. I gotta check at the valve timing because it sounds like there's a little bit of chain slap. There might just be a tensioner issue, and it may have jumped a tooth. So I'm gonna check that. And then she needs some CV axles, or not axles themselves, just the boots are ripped. But we did a custom linkage on here, and a few other odds and ends, tinkering things on that. But yeah, I'd like to get the 550 done, and then get the four-wheeler done for him. Load the four-wheeler up on the truck, and bring both of the projects to him early next week. So, anyways, y'all take care and have a good night. I'll be here keeping on. So, all right, bye.